line first.
How you do your hair a lot today? You okay?
Started getting like stuck.
Seems to get on edge. Just relax today.
Oh right, no, it's not just the rain. I'm just like completely not being.
Okay, thank you for joining us. I'm here with Deputy Leader Jada Franson. We got about.
I'm here somewhere.
It's pouring of rain in the centre of Belfast. We're holding. That's okay. We're holding a protest in the town centre against the scourge of terrorism, which has affected Northern Ireland so deeply over the last 30 years, and now it's especially in light of the recent the Now bomb attack in Manchester and the terror attacks in London. Things are getting out of control, so we've been invited over here as guest speakers, and we're proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with all of these patriots here. There's a lot, there's big turnout here. There's a lot of patriots here. Jada?
Hi, yeah, really good to see so many patriotic people come out, and it just goes to show, like, everybody here recognises the threat, everybody's concerned, and as always when I come to Northern Ireland you just feel completely at home. Everyone's so welcoming. There's a small gaggle of unwashed opposition down the road, but there's only a handful of them, and of course it wouldn't be a fun day without them, so we're thoroughly enjoying their company and we want to thank them for coming. But yeah, the numbers are building up on the streets here. The weather, as always, the good Ulster summer, pouring with rain, but it hasn't stopped the British people from coming out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jada. So we're going to hand the camera over now. I believe the rally's going to start in a moment, so stay tuned and you'll hear all the speeches today. We've got, I think, about 5 or 6 speakers here at City Hall in Belfast, so stay tuned and keep watching.
Where you're supposed to.
You alright, sir?
Hey, alright.
Good man.
Barcelona. Yeah.
Right there. Get a photo, yeah?
Yeah.
Which way?
Yeah. I'll get you now.
Where are we? This one? Say no surrender.
Which one?
Okay, where's Jay?
But see me in it, I don't spend too much
I got on the flight and there was
way up there.
right?
I think they was looking for you to go up there.
What's happening, mate? Stranger?
Not too bad, keep well. I'm literally screaming in my car singing Rule Britannia.
We have a big
Is that going live to Poland? Is that going live to Poland?
No,
Oh, that's great. Let me say hello. Hello everybody, here we are in Belfast, standing up for our rights and standing against refugees. Banksy, say hello.
Hello, sunny Belfast again. So at least it's only the wet season instead of the monsoon season. It's drying up a bit now. Friendly people as they've always been, apart from Antifa in the background making the usual noise. Refugees are welcome here. Mass rape to this country, please. It's nice. They just don't realise what they're doing.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah, let's
Bring them here, rape
ignore
our
the
kids.
rape and violence and invite more
don't
in.
get a doctor, don't get a school place, don't get anything. Let's just invite the bloody Islam in. Crazy. 40 years of terrorism.
Oh, yeah, 40 years of terrorism.
they're
The
asking
bombs
for more.
going off every day and they keep inviting more in. We've got, can't get into school, can't get hospital places, we've got no houses left. The country's mired in debt and they still want to bring more benefits claimants in. It's just madness. These people aren't ready, they're not going to contribute. They're not doctors, they're not surgeons, they're not engineers. They're just lazy hands to sit around causing trouble. We don't
Claim
need them.
benefits. 74% of them are claiming benefits.
Yeah, so why invite more in? It's just madness. And that's why we're here, to try and warn a country that hasn't quite got the problems yet what is coming. Just like Poland. No Muslims, no terrorism, thank you.
Well done, Poland, I
it's,
said.
it's not difficult to understand. The more Islam you get, the more terrorism you get. Rape, violence, intersectional problems, ethnic cleansing. It's just got to be stopped. It's just got to wake everybody up, and that's why I'm here, try and keep it going. Thanks a lot. Cheers, Eric.
All right, God bless. See you next time.
Sorry, man, sorry.
Actually,
They allow this to your phone, right?
Would you like me to take it?
No.
Yeah.
You want to jump in?
you getting in?
It's my arm for you.
Thank you.
Is it over the river, boy? Go on then, sir. It's not a bad turnout now, is it? Good stuff. You're welcome. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for coming, Paul.
We should get this rally kicked off as well. We've got a break in the rain.
Yeah, she's doing it. Oh, here she comes.
Twice for the flag.
Is that a bit better?
Wow, that's
Sorry.
Well away from you.
We shouldn't get any background noise now. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Northern Ireland Against Terrorism rally. It's great to see so many loyalists and patriots here standing in solidarity against terrorism. We'll start today's rally by asking for God's blessing on the rally. I know there are people here of other faiths and none. I am a Christian and I wish to, I am hoping that we can have a bit of respectful silence, and I will say the Lord's Prayer. If we could just, I'll be closing my eyes and bowing my head if you wish to do the same. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. We have endured over 40 years of terrorism here in Northern Ireland, and will have the heartache and the scars that come along with it. These ruthless terrorists stopped at nothing to ensure as much death, damage and destruction to our country. During the so-called Troubles, over 3,600 people were killed. Almost 1,900 of those murders were caused by Irish Republican terrorists. Now, we have some of the same Irish Republican terrorists elected to our government in Stormont. Can you imagine if Prime Minister Theresa May let the political wing of Daesh come into coalition with the Tories? Yet that's exactly what we have happening in our country. The IRA have taken the war to the political platform. This should never have been allowed, but somehow they're not just in our government, but they're in charge of our government. So much so, they were able to collapse Stormont, while innocent victims of these terrorists struggle to have their voices heard. Can we take a minute to remember all the innocent victims of terrorism from around the world? If we just have a minute's silence, please. Thank you, everyone. Our first speaker today is a man who isn't afraid to use his right to freedom of speech. A man who the leftists have called the EDL superbrain. I want you to welcome Banksy to the mic.
Hi, Belfast. At least it's only the wet season and not the monsoon season, so we'll carry on. Your local politics are for you to sort out. What I am here today is a Banksy, and I want to speak the truth. Enoch Powell lost his career speaking the truth. The Douglas Murray has said that the forecasts of previous so-called extremists have been proven to be vastly understated. Katie Hopkins is talking about Soros and the globalist immigration plot. Refugees are welcome here. Anne-Marie Waters, a gay lefty, is touring the country warning of the dangers Islam poses to our civilization. Why are these people touring Europe warning us about what Pastor McConnell described as great tribulations from Muslim terrorist cells? This is the book, the new book by Tommy Robinson and Peter McLaughlin. It says, in terse, clear language, McLaughlin and Robinson explain how Islam, from its beginnings till now, remains a religion of war. The real meaning of jihad and the Quran is its war manual. These courageous men deserve credit for making de Tocqueville's 19th century observation come to life to a modern audience. The first of all religious duties in Islam is to blindly obey the Prophet. The holy war jihad is the first of all good deeds. All these doctrines, of which the practical outcome is obvious, are found on every page and in almost every word of the Quran, are so striking that I cannot understand how any man or woman with good sense can miss them. The Quran is a manual of war. The more Islam you get, the more trouble you get. Lockerbie, 7-7, Glasgow Airport, Westminster Bridge, Borough Market. The evidently growing Islamic terrorism that is and will continue to grow. Eventually it will grow into full-bore
civil war. It's inevitable. The more Islam you get, the more violence you get. The PSNI is worried about cross-border terrorism. Well, just ask Indonesia, Nigeria, Kenya, Thailand, Myanmar. Global terrorism, all linked to Islam. For our civilization to survive, it must understand what it has faced and defeated in the past. Hijra, emigration, the Islamic doctrine of emigration stems from Muhammad's migration from Mecca to Medina in 622. This is the start of the Muslim calendar, not when Muhammad was born, not when Muhammad died, but when he turned into a raping, genocidal, terrorist tyrant. Emigrating to spread Sharia law guarantees a Muslim heaven. Part of Muhammad's dying words were, be friendly to foreign leaders. Which is why all our priests, media, politicians have a moderate Muslim at their side. Now these priests, media and moderate politicians, they all need to read this book. In one book you can understand all the terrorism that's coming down in the past, at present and in future. His final command was to commit genocide on the Kafirs in Arabia. That's you. You're the Kafirs. The hadith reports that Muslims should smile in your face with hate in their heart. Now I know none of us are sin-free, but this is just a potted history of what Islam has done to Christianity over the past 1400 years. Muhammad died in 632. By 732, it had slaughtered its way throughout the Middle East, it had massacred its way across North Africa, through Spain and into France. And in that time, it had destroyed 3,500 churches on the way, in 100 years. That's a church pulled down and burnt every 10 days for 100 years. In 851, the martyrs of Cordoba, converts, took Christianity from Islam, and other Christians were beheaded and boiled alive on cathedral steps. They were dipped in molten lead, and this is what started the Spanish Reconquista. It reignited the spirit within Christianity. In 1453, Constantinople fell, Byzantine, the centre of Christianity for 1,000 years, and it's been utterly destroyed. These are just vague echoes of history, and yet it was an entire Christian civilization. It was first attacked in 674, just 42 years after the death of Muhammad. It had been under attack for 780 years. The Hijra, the migration, Byzantine Christianity had been overrun by Islam immigration. When it came to the final battle, there was just insufficient Christians left to resist the onslaught of Islam. The whole mission of Islam is to destroy every other civilization, including the cross. It does not care which church. Islam hates us all. It has never changed, and it won't. In 1492, after 700 years and 148 battles, the size of the Battle of Hastings, some battles had piles of heads so high that a man on horseback couldn't look over them. They were prisoners executed, fellow Christians. 1683, Islam was stopped from invading Europe at the gates of Vienna. It was defeated by an army led by our brothers from Poland. And after this victory, Christian technical advantage allowed the West to ignore Islam. Yet it wasn't until 1832 that the Greeks got freedom from the Ottoman Empire. In 1850, Britain, the British Empire, freed Hinduism and Sikhism from Muslim rule in India, from the Mughals. And in 1880, Gladstone stood in Parliament and he said, the Quran, an accursed book, so long as this book so long as there is this book, there will be no peace in the world. And that is evident to see in every news broadcast, no matter if they call them extremists or not. 1908, before Bulgaria gains independence after 1,000 years of Muslim rule, where the Ottoman Empire used to come round every 5 years and take the eldest son out of every family and conscript it into the, can't remember, the Janissaries, which were the kidnapped children, and they were turned into soldiers for the Ottoman Empire. 1,000 years of vicious oppression, semi-slavery, rape and murder. Just think how far we've come in 100 years. In 1915, my wife's grandfather, while Gallipoli was raging, was fighting his way into Palestine. 1916, the Sykes-Picot Agreement carved the caliphate up into manageable sized pieces. Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Syria, small pieces that you can control. In 1924, Kemal Ataturk dissolved the caliphate. But in 1928, the Muslim Brotherhood was formed, a legal organisation in this country, ready to try and reform the caliphate. 1942, my father's generation, it was at El Alamein. The Europeans fought a war in North Africa, all over, all the way across the northern deserts. We can't even set foot there anymore. In fact, we're getting invaded from them. 1974, there were miniskirts in Kabul, and liberalism and Western thought lines had started to take root within Islam. And that's when the hippies took over. It's when the full horrors of communism were discovered. It turned into a tyranny that killed 66 million of its own people. And these communists are currently running our councils, our media, our schools, universities and Europe, and their foot soldiers stand over there screaming stupid slogans at us to let in more rapists. And I, for one, will not let them win. And Nazism has quite rightly been exposed as a murderous tyranny. Yet communism's murder of hundreds of millions of its people are just ignored. Look at Venezuela, the state of that country. These same people over there, they have on their side people who call all white people racists, who call for white genocide, and who state that liberals will get the bullet too. The communists hate our system. They want to bring down our civilization. And to aid them with that, they have allied with Islam. Islam, from its roots, hates the West. It hates Rome and it hates Christianity. I am here to warn you, our civilization is in great peril. Turkish TV has been promoting the glories of the caliphate for the last 10 years. The coup attempt last year in Turkey was a Turkish army's last chance trying to uphold its secular duty to keep Turkey a secular state. Now we've got Erdogan in charge, who said, the mosques are our barracks, the domes our helmets, the minarets our bayonets, and the faithful our soldiers. President Erdogan has recently introduced jihad into the state education system. Turkey is the second biggest army in NATO, and it is turning into a jihadi army. Also, President Erdogan, the term moderate Islam is ugly and offensive. There is no moderate Islam. There is just Islam. President Erdogan is trying to become the new caliph of the new Ottoman Empire. Reliance of the traveller commands the caliph as a first duty. The caliph fights, it's section 9.1. The caliph fights all other people until they become Muslim. All people, Sikh, Hindu, Buddhists, atheists, Christians, both Catholic and Protestant, all people, Islam hates us all. Once under Islamic rule, the killing will not stop. Christianity is all but extinct in its birthplace. The Yazidis have experienced 72 mass murder killings in the last 1400 years. That's a mass murder event every 20 years. It's no wonder the civilization is dying out. Anybody heard of the Zoroastrians? No, you won't. One of the 4 big religions in the Middle East, extinct, killed by Islam. This is what Europe faces. We need either, we've invited it in, the war is here. We either fight it or we have voluntary genocide of our own civilization.
Yeah.
I'm willing to fight. Are you willing to fight? Yeah. You need to fight. You need to get some spirit in you. The threat to global peace is not white supremacism, but the Quran and its murderous mission of global domination. The speakers here today are all described as extremists, yet 47% of Britons want an end to Muslim immigration. This rises to 67% in some European countries. We are not the extremists. We are the majority. We, the majority, insist our borders are closed. We do not want Merkel's madness to be given passports and free entry into this flaming country. Shut the borders. Now, this unrest will happen. Now, while calling for the First Crusade in Claremont in 1095, Pope Urban II, he called for all his barons to settle their differences and come together to fight a single foe. Now, we in Britain, we in England, if we don't get hard Brexit, a government minister has warned of civil unrest. Now, I promise you, there will be civil unrest and we will shut these borders. Now, this Brexit has opened up a problem within this province that many people in England didn't understand or foresee, and it may well have affected your votes in this way. I've got something that's strictly out of left field that some people say I should ask and some people say quiet. Me, personally, I would like this to happen. Should we invite the Republic to join a not a United Kingdom, the British Free Trade Zone? They don't have to join the kingdom, just to join a free trade zone. That will keep, I think it may well settle some arguments. I want you to think about it. Now, this province holds the balance of power in the UK Parliament. It's time to understand that the word meek in the meek shall inherit the earth, it's not describing a simpering lick-spittle wimp. But the meek people are dangerous, well-armed people who know how to use their weapons, but choose not to. And that's where you can turn the other cheek. From a position of strength, you can choose not to retaliate. But you must understand that meek does not mean coward lying down in the street, but dangerous and gentle men, dangerous women who know how to behave. And the Muslim population in Britain stands at about 3 to 4 million. Its population grows every 10 years. That'll be 6 million. They already hold serious leaders of power. Sadiq Khan, for one, in London, and 9 other cities in Britain. We, the majority on the mainland, are begging you to get your MPs as the balance of power in Britain. I'm sure the people coming up to follow to speak will explain to you how this immigration affects you, how you are ethnically cleansed, how the rape and the violence grows daily as you are evacuated from your streets to some areas of this Britain now being 98% Muslim. That is not integration, that is not immigration, that's invasion and occupation. And I, for one, have had enough of it. I beg for you, shut the borders, please.
Thank you very much, Banksy. It's a privilege to have you here with us. Guys, we're here today to oppose terrorism, but there are men and women, some of who are with us today, who did not just oppose terrorism. They actually took up an oath, put on a uniform, and they go to fight to defend our country and defeat these terrorists, and to ensure the safety of all people in this country, no matter what their religion. What a fine job they've done too.
Yeah.
We want to commend the efforts of all our security forces, both past and present. These men and women don't run from these vile, evil terrorists, but they run to them to ensure our safety. We give you our utmost thanks today. We will never let the men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice be forgotten. We will remember them. Our next speaker today is from Liverpool. He's in the orange order. I'd like to introduce to you today Paul Rimmer.
Hey, it's great to be here, guys. You know, for me, Ulster's always been a special place. I grew up during the times of the Troubles, watched it every night on the news. The places of Ulster that ingrained in my mind, you know, Warren Point, Newton Ards, all the Belfast atrocities, the Enniskillen killing, Mary Wilson, that was a great tragedy. And of course we had our own tragedies on the mainland, Warrington, with a little lad called Jonathan Ball. He wasn't even 3. He was blown to pieces by the IRA. How despicable was that? And his father, who was an old guy, he was over 50, his father, when he actually, produced this child. His father died of a broken heart. And another little lad died in that bombing in Warrington called Tim Parry. And his dad, Colin Parry, is, take a great stand for peace. Because we are a people of peace. We're a Christian nation and we don't wish harm on anybody. Our view of life is do unto others as they would do unto us. Our faith is the faith of love and a hand of friendship. When these people say refugees are welcome, real refugees, people fleeing for their lives, are welcome. We'd all take them in. But we know these people are not refugees. They don't cross country after country to get to the UK for refuge. They come here for various reasons. First of all, because we give them a lot of money and our houses. There's 500,000 foreigners living in social housing in Britain, and yet there's 120,000 British children who are homeless. That's stupidity. That's not the hand of generosity. That's not Christianity. That's slitting your own throat. That's crazy. And that's the situation we have today on the mainland. Now Ulster is being sort of kept in a bit of a cocoon from what's happening in the rest of Europe, because it's the whole of Europe which is being invaded. If you go to Paris or Amsterdam or Antwerp or Germany today, there's an invasion going on and a takeover of city after city. In Britain, if you go to places like Blackburn, you'll see a Muslim, it's not a ghetto, it's a colony, and it's an expanding colony. And it's all Muslims, they all live on the hill, and they're building more mosques, and they're growing in number, taking more over. And if you go to Bradford, there are 230,000 Muslims in Bradford. They've taken over the whole of West Bradford, which is an old Yorkshire woolen textile city, produced some great people in the past. It's, again,
It's not a Muslim ghetto, it's a colony, an expanding colony. And these colonies are taking over city after city in Britain. And the Muslims are acquiring political power. They're acquiring control of our resources, of our cash, of our institutions, and they're using those institutions to build up their power on the mainland. It's a frightening situation. We're being taken over. We're being replaced. They're going to push us out. And people now are starting to fear what's going on. Because even these guys over here, I mean, they're shouting these silly slogans, but they know there's a wolf coming down the track. And if we don't wake up, it's going to devour us all. Make no mistake about that. Now in the Bible it says, the leaders of Israel became irresponsible. They became like dumb dogs that did not bark. When the danger faced the people, they did not stand up to the danger. Instead, they were lazy, and they were self-indulgent, and they were greedy. And it says something else. It said, you're shepherds who are supposed to look after you and take care of you. They are without understanding. They don't want to know what's happening. They're only interested in themselves, in their own careers, in their own bank balances. They're not interested in us. We pay their wages. They're our leaders, they're our representatives. They're supposed to look after us, not just for ourselves, but in respect to our forefathers who built our nation, who made the great sacrifices to give us the freedom and prosperity we have today. We have to respect that inheritance. But also, that's sad. All right, guys, chill. Chill, guys, chill. Let it be. You're mistaken, guys. We're not your enemy, we're your saviors. Wake up to reality. We've come to bring a message of truth. We've not come to bring a message of falsehood. Come back, guys. Let's keep this rally going. Don't let them win. Don't let their foolishness take over. Yeah, guys, well done, guys. But stay calm. I'll just wrap up this little speech here. Yeah, what I was going to say was, our leaders are letting us down every day. They're letting the fools take over. They're not protecting our country. They're not protecting our children. They're not protecting our future. We need new leadership. We need people in authority that are going to stand up for us. And we've got to wake up to this, guys. We haven't come to inflame in a situation to make it worse. It's the idiots who want to make it worse. We've come to make people up. Wake up is our message to reality. We've come to save our country. That's our goal. We love our nation. We love this island of Ireland. We love the island of Britain. We love this country. And we want to save it. We want it to continue. And we're strong enough to fight back. We're not going to be intimidated. They can shout what they want, they can threaten what they want, but we know we've got an important battle on here, guys. We've got an important fight, and we're going to be warriors in that battle. We're going to wake up, and we're going to take ground, and we're going to overcome this situation. We're going to get new leadership. People are rallying now. There's so many people are waking up, and they're looking for an organisation to join. Come and join Britain First. They're looking for leaders to stand behind. We've got Paul Golding here. He's a brave man. We're looking for a message. We're looking for a message of truth. The people want to know what's going on. Nobody can be deceived anymore. Omar Hamed, who was a top Muslim in America, he was asked, do the Muslims want equality? And he said, equality? We have come to dominate. We've come to put you under the heel. We've come to take take everything which is yours. This is a battle for survival, guys. We are faced with an existential threat, and we've got to wake up. Everyone here is woken up. We've got the social media. We get the message out. It's amazing how many people will hear this message and hear messages like it. And we're all looking for something to give us hope, to give us strength to overcome. And we're gonna overcome. Because our hearts are being stirred, guys. We're tough guys. We've got a great tradition. We are the people who sought off the tyranny of Nazism. We are the people who defeated the Kaiser, the Ulster 36th Division. No surrender! No surrender! They gave their lives, they spilled their blood for this nation. And we can go back to Napoleon and what Nelson did at the Battle of Trafalgar when he sunk the French and Spanish fleet. We defeated the power of Napoleon, but we went out around the world and we spread a message of hope. I am proud of the British Empire and everything we gave to the world. We gave freedom, we gave liberty, we gave democracy, we gave prosperity. There's something great about this nation. It's got to be stirred again. What's happening to us should not be acceptable. We have to rise up, reclaim our country, and go forward to that victory. Amen.
Can I just say, it's going to take a lot more than a poxy can of fizzy drink to stop me. If they want to stop me, next time make it a bullet, because that's the only thing that's going to stop me.
Thank you for that, Paul. When they provoke, they want a reaction. Don't give them the reaction that they want. Paul Rimmer, you are an absolute star, speaking the truth as always, and you are 100% right in everything you've said today. Thank you so much for coming over here to join us. Guys, you are over from England, and it looks relatively peaceful. There's a lot less bombing and a lot less shooting than there was a few years ago. That doesn't mean that we live in peace here. We are still living under constant threat of terrorism in this country. The same terrorism. Dissident Irish Republicans who have targeted our police, our soldiers, and our prison officers. One of them actually managed to infiltrate our security forces, and he got a measly 18 years in prison. It's just not good enough. These same terrorists are walking our streets today, and we're lucky that the Parades Commission have stopped them from going where they wanted to go. They think they run this country, they don't. Now our next leader, our next speaker is the Deputy Leader of Britain First, Jada Franson. So, Jada.
Thank you all. Well, I'm going to start by saying that, I'm going to move forward for a start. I'm going to start by saying that you are all worrying me with how quiet you've been today. Good afternoon, Belfast. Thank you, that's better. I knew you were there. I knew you were there. We've got to drown out that gaggle of unwashed over there, so let's give it a good go. I'd also like to just congratulate my co-leader here, my colleague Paul Golding, on his goalkeeping skills, because we know that if he gets sick of saving the country, which I know will never happen, we can always roll him out as England's new goalkeeper after that save. Well done. I just want to say, as ever, thank you all for such a warm welcome. Every time I come here, I just feel completely at home. You are always so welcoming. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for making me feel so welcome. And of course I will thank Jolene Bunting for arranging this, because, you know, it takes a brave woman to say, actually, I'm going to arrange a rally because I've had enough, and she's the woman that's done it. So let's give her a round of applause. Everyone who's here today is here because we recognise that there is a threat to us, to our people, to our safety, to our nations, and that threat is terrorism. Now, terrorism can take different forms, can be led by different groups, and they have the audacity to call us extremists. These people are baying for our blood, and thank God that you guys understand this. Because if it wasn't for you here today, who would be here? Who would do it? So give yourselves a round of applause for coming out. You know, I've said this many times. The biggest threat to civilization across the world is Islam, without a doubt. Just switch the news on, and it could be in London, it could be in Manchester, it could be in Germany, it could be in Brussels, it could be in Africa. We are at war with Islam. The world is at war with Islam.
Yes.
Jihad and Islam are one and the same. It's not a separate entity. And for those of you who have bothered to read any of the Islamic scriptures, and I know they're not pleasant, you'll know that the Quran, the Hadiths, they are riddled with instructions for every single Muslim, not just the extremists, not just ISIS. Don't listen to that nonsense. Every single Muslim is obliged to kill you and your husbands and your wives and your children. Are we getting this yet? We are in danger. Do we recognise it? There is no moderate Islam. Forget it. Anyone peddling that narrative, that gaggle over there, they want you to believe that there are extremists in Islam and that there are moderates. There are no moderates. There's no moderate version of Islam. Islam says every single one of you wonderful people here today deserves to be killed. Every single one of you. What for? Because you don't believe in their false prophet. Because you don't believe in a prophet who took a child bride or committed genocide, mass murder. That's your only crime. You all deserve to die for it, just like I do. And you know, we talk about the different forms of terror. It's quite obvious when something is an inherent problem. See, I know over here you guys have suffered. I know this. It doesn't go unnoticed. Over on the mainland, there is an element of ignorance. And you only have to come here and speak to people to recognise the suffering. I know what you have suffered, and I know what you continue to go through. And I understand that the terrorism waged by Republicans is just as bad as the Muslims, and I plan to stand with every one of you to fight the bloody lot of them. See, the problem we have with Republican terrorism is that they can peddle a narrative that they are Christian, and they are not. Okay? I stand before you as a Christian, and I am telling you that these people are not Christian. But I can tell you that these terrorists who are waging jihad in the name of Allah, they are Muslims. See, here's the problem. You follow the Bible, you're very good to each other. You follow the Quran, you have to kill every non-Muslim in sight. That's the reality. That is the new threat. It's time we came together. It's time the world came together and united against the one common enemy, which is Islam. I know that you guys recognise this, and I thank you for standing with me. The world is at war, and close to my home, I'm from London, as you can probably hear. My hometown is completely gone. London has fallen. Make no mistake about that. When we gave our capital city to Sadiq Khan, to a Muslim mayor who had stood on a platform with Islamic extremists, London fell for good. I can't walk through the streets of my hometown without being spat at in my face by dirty Muslim extremists. I can't walk through the streets of East London without being attacked. I have to take security guards with me. This is no joke. People don't realise what is going on in London, what is going on in Bradford, what's going on in Birmingham. I'm telling you now, I'm pleading with you now, do not let it happen here. In fact, you know what? I won't bloody let it happen here. How about that? Ulster is, in my opinion, the last line of defence for Britain. I truly believe that. I believe that on the mainland, people have become so complacent. And and have been so brainwashed by the establishment that is peddling this false narrative about liberalism and multiculturalism and appeasing Islam. I look around me when I'm on the mainland and there's a handful of people around me, and the ones that come out are staunch and I love them to death, but I stand there and I think, where are all the men? Where are the men? I'm standing on the street corner confronting Islamic terrorists and there's no one beside me. A few people, a few staunch patriots. At least when I come over here, I know that you guys are a bit more prepared. Because of what you've been through, it's time the mainland took some of this strength, took some of this honour, took some of it from you guys. You need to bring it over to our mainland, because I'm telling you, we are in this together, and it will be you that we will be calling upon. I've had so many messages sent to me recently about proposed mosques over in Northern Ireland. And let me tell you now, I know that there's a couple of mosques, and I know that they don't do particularly well when they try and get any more. But let me tell you now, they won't stop. They will never stop. They will file application after application to get another mosque built. And if they don't get one, they'll just convert a house into a mosque. And then the council will be forced to let them have it as a mosque because it's their religious right. And this is how they infiltrate, okay? This is how it happens. Now, I know that people here recognise this, because people here today have come up to me and told me about another mosque that's being proposed, that's supposedly being built over here, over my bloody dead body. Britain First will be leading the campaign against every single mosque that is proposed in Northern Ireland. I am not just saying this, I am promising you right here, right now, I myself, Britain First, will be here with you to make sure that these dens of iniquity do not cover every single street corner of this beautiful country. It's not happening. I won't watch Ulster fall. No way. I watched London change. I'm only 31. I know I look older, it's a hard life. I'm only 31, and do you know what? I've seen my hometown completely fall. Completely fall. I've gone from living on council estates that have been predominantly British, indigenous people, to being a minority in my hometown and being unwelcome in my own town. And so I won't watch Ulster go the same way. So I'm pleased to announce that Britain First, Northern Ireland, has been registered. And I will be leading Britain First in Northern Ireland. And I will be here for you. I will be here for every one of you. And believe me, you're going to get sick of seeing me, because I've got so much to do here. I intend to lead the movement in Northern Ireland, and I intend to take on every single corrupt politician, everyone that thinks they can sell us out. They're going to meet their match. I will make their lives a living hell. And you know the first thing I'm going to do? The first thing, at the first opportunity, you mark my words, I'm going to kick my heels off, I'm going to get up a bloody ladder, and I'm going to get our flag back at the top of that pole! You know, Paul Rimmer said about the Bible, about being pushovers, about being meek. Do you know what it said in the Bible? It said that Jesus himself, when he went into the temple and they were mistreating it and they were abusing it, what did he do? He got angry. He turned the tables upside down. He went crazy at people. He got really angry because he told them, do not disrespect my temple. Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, is our temple, and we should get angry when people disrespect it. The time is now. This is our country. These are our flags. These are our people. For anyone who wants to try and threaten us,
bring it on, because the battle can commence right here today. Britain First is established here. We're going nowhere. If anybody wants to take us on, then bring it on, and I will have every single one of you beside me gladly. God bless every single one of you. No surrender! Can we have an extra clap for Jada? Jada nearly wasn't making it today because she's not well. So I want an extra clap for her because she's such an amazing girl. And Jada, I will be holding you to what you said today. So, guys, Jada has made some extremely good points about Islam. And this is a worldwide threat. These savage killings are taking place on an almost daily basis. Around the world, Christians, Sikhs, Jews, and all other religions are being slaughtered for their beliefs. Yet we point out that Islamic teachings and laws are teachings of violence and oppression of women, and we're labelled racist and fascists. I don't care what colour your skin is. I don't care where you come from. If your faith teaches you that you should murder people, if they don't conform to your beliefs and your ideology, then your faith needs to be opposed. Now, our next speaker is the leader of Britain First, and I'm really looking forward to welcoming Paul Golden to the mic.
Thank you very much, everyone, for this warm welcome. Both me and Jada are thrilled to be over here. You probably see my online reports of I was over on the 12th of July. The sound system's annoying. I was over on the 12th of July. I pretty much come every year. It might surprise you to know that Britain First was conceived and launched in Northern Ireland. I remember being in an office with two other people in Dundonald near Stormont, and there was three of us sat around a table, and we looked around at the political scene, the political landscape, and there was nothing in this country with any backbone that would stand up for our people. We resolved right then that we would launch a movement, you know, and carry out a 30-year struggle to save our country. It's going to be a long, hard road. You know, we might not survive this struggle. England is going to descend into civil war. There's going to be bloodshed. You've seen the template for this kind of thing over in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. That is going to come to the mainland, except it's going to be far more vicious and bloodthirsty. But myself and Jada and the rest of our movement, we started off with 3 people, and now we number millions around the world. And I can tell you now, we will not stop. No matter how many times they shoot us, stab us, throw cans at us, no matter how many times they try, the police arrest us, throw me in prison. I spent the entire Christmas period in prison for confronting a hate preacher in Cardiff who said it was okay for Muslims to keep sex slaves. They threw me in prison because I burst in the mosque to confront him. Well, I can tell you now, they can throw me in prison, they can shoot me, they can bomb me, they can blow me limbs off, but I will not stop until this country has been restored to its former glory. This country is our inheritance from our ancestors. Hands up, how many people here have got parents and grandparents who fought for this country in wars? Get your hands up. Every single one of our families has bled. Their blood is in the mud and the dirt on battlefields on every continent of the world. They're at the bottom of the Atlantic and every sea and every ocean of the world. It was our people, millions of our people who fought and died. They charged up the beaches of Normandy. They fought in the Spitfires and the Hurricanes. For what reason? To hand down this country to you, their children and grandchildren. There's an unbroken chain of life that stretches back thousands of years of our people, the indigenous people of these islands. And I will be damned if the corrupt politicians and the establishment think that they can replace us in our own homeland, that they can treat us like second-class citizens. Britain First is not an ordinary political movement. We're a declaration of war against every corrupt politician. As Jada said, we're now registered as a formal political party in Northern Ireland. The problem over here, I understand, is in its infancy regarding Islam, but you can see from the mainland what is going to happen. Because 50 years ago, there was only a small percentage of Muslims in our country. There was a very handful of mosques. Now look at it. I've been up and down England, Scotland and Wales, and I can tell you now, some areas of our country, some towns, Luton, East London, Blackburn, Bradford, they are no longer British. They resemble the Third World. They resemble the Middle East. They are lost to our country. The politicians are deliberately replacing us in our own country. It's an act of genocide. I see it over here in Northern Ireland. They're suppressing our culture, our traditions, just a little bit at a time. A little bit here, a little bit there. We have nothing left by the end of this process. It's time to grow a backbone and fight for our country, just like our ancestors did. One thing that absolutely sickened me, because I was over in Northern Ireland at the time, I lived in Northern Ireland for a whole year before I moved back to the mainland. Britain First was conceived and launched over here. We based Britain First, our approach, our logo, our crest. Where are they? Look at this, look. Does this look familiar? We based our entire movement on Ulster loyalism and Ulster unionism. Britain First was always back the unionist, the PUL people of Northern Ireland. We will never surrender, and we will never bow down to these corrupt politicians. It made me sick the day they took that flag down from City Hall. And now I see it there, an empty flagpole. That is a symbol, rubbing it in our faces, of our oppression in our own country. We can't even fly our bloody flag over our own town hall. This is just the beginning. Don't think this is going to get easier. Don't think it's going to get better. It's going to get a lot worse. It's going to get so bad, eventually, that the British people are going to have to get up off their lazy backsides and do something. At the moment, it's quite possible for people to watch X Factor on a Saturday night, to go down the pub. Most people are employed. Everyone can most feed their families. But I can tell you now, over the next 10 to 15 years, there's going to be fundamental changes in this country. Our country is going down the toilet. How many of you have been over to London? How many of you have been over to the mainland and you've seen these areas like Birmingham and Nottingham and Bradford? How many people have seen what these towns have become? Now I remember a brave Christian spoke out about this over here. Now before that I used to go to a church when I lived over here in northern Belfast, in White Rock I believe, something like that. Whitewell, that's it. Used to go to Whitewell Church. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. And the preacher there, the minister, was making his sermons and all that. And then 6 months, a year later, he calls Islam satanic, and the establishment come down on him like a ton of bricks. Well, I can tell you now, that man is a good Christian, and he's telling the truth. Pastor McConnell is a good man, and he was a brave man. He didn't back down, did he? He stuck to his guns like a true Christian should. You tell the truth, to hell with the consequences. But look at the way your establishment came down on him like a ton of bricks. Now the reason he came out and said that is because the Imam, the Muslim leader at the Belfast Islamic Centre, came out and said that life under ISIS in Mosul was great. That's the leader of the Muslims in Northern Ireland. Now I was shocked to my core when I was in Newton Ards and someone told me there was a mosque there. I didn't believe them. So they told me where it was and I went round there. And I did a bit of filming outside this building that's a mosque. In Newton Ards of all places, for God's sake. No one really knows what's creeping in Ulster. Even people I spoke to were shocked. They didn't even realise there was a mosque in Newton Ards. And when I was outside filming, a people carrier full of young Muslims with tank tops on all jumped out and said, "What are you doing outside our mosque?" This was in Newton Ards. This is colonisation and Islamisation by the back door. Believe me, it's going to get a lot worse. And what makes me sick is that your defenders, your supposed defenders, people like the DUP and the UUP and all these establishment so-called unionist politicians who are filling their boots and feeding at the trough here and elsewhere at Stormont, they have not got your back. okay? Britain First is registered in Northern Ireland because we're going to start standing in elections. We're going to put forward people who don't care about career, who don't care about money. They only care about their inheritance from their ancestors, okay? That's all that matters, that we hand down a Northern Ireland that is still British to future generations of our people. And unless you make a stand now, when the odds are in your favour, you will regret it later.
I promise you, you will. Yes. You will regret it.
Britain First was never intended to be a normal political party. We're a front line, we're a declaration of war against the establishment, against everyone who raises their hand against our country. They will feel the wrath of Britain First.
Yes.
We're a front line for our people. Now, we've all seen during the Troubles that this country suffered at the hands of Republican terrorists. Britain suffered at the hands of Republican terrorists. That threat has largely dissipated and been replaced by a new threat. The whole of Europe, the whole of the West is facing a new threat to its survival. Now, we haven't got a problem with Jewish groups blowing up and running down and stabbing and shooting people around the West, have we? We haven't got a problem with Sikhs or Hindus. We've got a problem with one religion and one religion only, and that is Islam. The common denominator in all of this is the religion of Islam. And the most talked about concept in the Quran, as was said earlier, is jihad against non-Muslims. If you don't believe me, there's a Waterstones around the corner. Go and buy yourself a Quran and read it. Okay? It's all there in black and white. Why do you think these lunatics are around the world? Do you remember the Brussels airport attack? Do you remember the Nice, where they mowed everyone? 84 people got killed by a lorry in Nice. Do you remember all the massacres in Paris? Do you remember the Berlin Christmas attack? I'm losing track. Do you remember the Munich shooting at the mall? Do you remember the Orlando nightclub attack? Do you remember when the Canadian Parliament was attacked? Do you remember the siege in the cafe in Sydney? This is all a common denominator, and it's going to get worse because thanks to low birth rates amongst our people are shrinking in number. The birth rates amongst the Islamic community in the mainland is like 7 or 8 children per female. It's enormous. They're quadrupling in size every 20 years. And it's going to get worse and worse. You think we've got it bad at the moment? This is the calm before the storm. It's going to get much, much worse. The amount of attacks, the amount of grooming scandals, FGM, halal slaughter, all these problems, terrorists, extremists, the mosques all over the country, new mosque applications, they're popping up absolutely everywhere. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. And I can tell you now, they've already got a foothold here in Northern Ireland. I've seen it with my own eyes. When I burst into the Islamic centre of Belfast to confront that vile excuse for a human being who said life is good under ISIS, when I went in there, I could see that this was just the beginning. When I was outside Newtonard's mosque and a big mob of them came over to me and said, "What are you doing outside our mosque? This is happening already on your streets." Okay? And if you think the politicians in Stormont and this building behind me are going to defend you, are going to protect you, have got your best interests at heart, you're grossly mistaken. Because they're already gone native in the establishment, they're corrupt. All they care about is money and career. Okay? You can tell by the danger that people like me and Jada put ourselves in. We care little for ourselves. We exist purely to fight for our country. We've dedicated our lives to this movement. And millions of people all around the world and in Britain are following us now. This is just the beginning. I can tell you now, one day we will take our country back. One day the boot will be on the other foot. One day we will have the upper hand. And I can tell you now, down to small things like that flag going back up, down to things like no terrorists in government, you don't bomb and shoot your way to power. The honour of our country and our ancestors will be restored. We will not bend over backwards to appease Republicans or Islamists. Their feet will not touch the ground. We will use the power of Great Britain to make our people safe, to put our own people first in our own country. That is the ultimate goal of our movement, and that's why we chose the name Britain First, because that is exactly what we stand for. At the moment, England is weak. Our people are asleep. Our young folk do not know what's going on. They've come for an education system that's brainwashed them, denied them their own history and their own heritage. Okay? But I can tell you now, we will restore our country. We will put our own people first. We will sort our borders out. We will grab this country by the scruff of the neck and rebuild it. And our ancestors smiling down on us from heaven will be proud of this generation. Britain First was conceived in Northern Ireland. And this is where I imagine in a few years, when it becomes so dangerous on the mainland, that me and Jada, we will be operating and living from Northern Ireland. Because this is the last bastion of Britishness still left within the British Isles. I brought some of my security with me over on the 12th, and they could not believe it. Their eyes were popping out of their heads. You know, and I took, where's Paul gone? I took Paul, he's an Orangeman and he's never been to Northern Ireland. I took him on a tour yesterday. We was at the bottom of the Crumlin Road, and I come up to the roundabout. I said, if you turn right here, it's Republican. If you turn left, we're into the Shanko estate, Loyalist. And we turned left, and all it, straight away, bunting, flags, and it was amazing. How did that make you feel, Paul? This is the last bastion of Britishness left. And I can tell you now, Britain First stands 100% behind the PUL community in Northern Ireland. You're our people and we are your people. For Queen and country, we will take our country back. We will make our ancestors proud. We will build a future for our children unlike they can ever dream. And it all starts today. Yes. Are you behind us? Are you with us? Yes. Enough of corrupt unionist politicians. Enough of the Republicans riding roughshod over our culture and our traditions. We have had enough. Britain First has come to Northern Ireland and we're here to stay. And I can tell you now, we will give, just like Jada said, we will give all these corrupt politicians a real rough time. You've probably seen Britain First running around the streets of England on every, street corner, absolutely going to town on Islamic extremists. We created so much trouble in London for all the Islamists, people like Anjem Chowdhury, Abu Izzuddin, all the terrorists, all the people who radicalised the killers of Lee Rigby. We chased them off the streets of London. And if we have to come here and chase the corrupt politicians in City Hall and Stormont off the streets, then we bloody will, because we love our country. Britain First, fighting back! Britain First, fighting back! I hope that you'll get behind our movement here in Northern Ireland, and we're going to be spending a hell of a lot of time over here, because like I said, this is the only place, if you're a patriotic British, you love your country, this is the only place that you can come. And I know every single one of you are either in the Orange Order, or you're in a Loyalist flute band, or you're some way connected to the cause. And this is what we want to bring to England. That's why all those years ago when we launched Britain First, we did it from Northern Ireland, and we copied the way you guys do it. And it's worked, because we've got millions of people behind us now, all over Great Britain. The struggle is just beginning. We don't know how it's going to end. But all I can say is, in a few decades, you need to be able to look yourself in the eye, in the mirror, and think, I did my duty for my country. I did what is right, not what was convenient. I can hold my head up high. We don't know how this is going to end. But we can choose, as proud British patriots, to fight with our last dying breath and every drop of blood in our body for Queen and country, for God and Ulster. No surrender!
Well, thank you very much. Right, we've talked a lot about the fight back today and how we fight back. And I know you are all thinking, how can we start? What can we do to help?